When you pray, whether it's for something big or something small, and the answer that you get, the answer that you receive, isn't what you anticipated. You may ask some questions such as, what should I do? How should I respond? What should I even say? Well, I want you to know that you are not alone. There have been many who have been down this path. And today I want us to look and to learn from one person. Not just learn, but be encouraged by what we can do whenever we run into a situation like this. And so today I actually want us to look at King David. In 1 Chronicles chapter 14, David is anointed king. And when David becomes king, the sworn enemy of the Israelites, the Philistines, they make the decision to attack him for obvious reasons. And so what does David do? I want to read in 1 Chronicles chapter 14. The Bible tells us when the Philistines heard that David had been anointed king over all Israel, they mobilized all their forces to capture him. But David was told they were coming, so he marched out to meet them. And the Philistines arrived and made a raid in the valley of Rephaim. And so David asked God, should I go out and fight the Philistines? Will you hand them over to me? And the Lord replied, yes, go ahead. I will hand them over to you. You see, David goes to God and simply asks him, should I go out and I fight the Philistines? Will you hand them over to me? And God says, go ahead. I am going to hand them over to you. Yes, go and fight them. And so David goes, him and his army, and they defeat the Philistines. And David rejoices at that battle. He says, God did it. And so they go back, they're rejoicing. And then a little while later, Bible doesn't particularly tell us how long later, but a little while later, the Philistines attack again. And so what does David do? David goes to God again. But this time, the answer that he receives isn't what he anticipated. Let me read for you and you'll see. But after a while, the Philistines returned and raided the village again. And once again, David asked God what to do. Do not attack them straight on, God replied. Instead, circle around behind and attack them near the poplar trees. When you hear a sound like marching feet in the tops of the poplar trees, go out and attack. That will be the signal that God is moving ahead of you to strike down the Philistine army. And so this time, God tells him to wait. The first time, God tells him to go. The second time, God tells him to wait. And you may say, well, the first time, God, you said yes, but this answer is different from what you anticipated. What is going on? What are you doing? We may say that. I may say that even. But what does David do? David obeys. Verse 16 tells us, so David did what God commanded. And what happened? They struck down the Philistine army all the way from Gibeon to Gezer. So David's fame spread everywhere, and the Lord caused all the nations to fear David. And so David obeys, and he goes and defeats the army. And the Lord caused all the nations around him and around his kingdom to fear him. And so what can we learn from this? David, like you, received an answer that he didn't anticipate. He thought God was going to say, well, go out again. I handed them over to you the first time. I'm going to do it again. No, God says this time, I'm going to hand them over to you, but I'm going to hand them over in a different way. but I want you to wait. I don't want you to go ahead like you did last time. I want you to wait upon me and see what I'm going to do. And so maybe you have run into that. You have been praying, and maybe you haven't received the answer yet. Let me encourage you, as scripture tells us, to keep asking, to keep knocking, and the door will be open unto you. That's what scripture says. Keep praying. But maybe you're there. Maybe you have been praying. Maybe it's for something big, and maybe it's for something small. And the answer that you received isn't what you anticipated. It may just be that the answer that you received is what is going to bring God the greater glory. And maybe that is a way that you should be praying. Maybe you should be praying, God, do what you have to do to bring you the greater glory. God, do what you have to do so that when I look back and see what you have done, I can give you praise, the proper praise that is due to you. And I can say along with David that you did this. And maybe in time, you will see that though the answer that you received might not be what you anticipated, the outcome that you received will be greater than what you expected. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and share if this video encouraged you. And to see more encouraging videos and posts, subscribe to my channel and follow me on social. See you guys next time.